Well, hello, soccer fans. Randy McKee here with Soccer 605, and we are here for the September 21st version of our wrap-up show. I have as a guest with us today Coach Brad Cruz from the Pure Boys. We've been trying to get Coach Cruz on here for quite a while, and we just finally got all the technical stuff arranged. So, Brad, I want to thank you for being on here with us, and we want to get you on here and talk about your team here in a little bit. And first, I'm going to do a little rundown on what happened during the week. And we had a really important week this week, especially in numbers probably 7 through 10 on the AA boys side. And we started out early in the week with a real battle up at Aberdeen. Between Watertown and Aberdeen Central, and we're watching this Watertown team improve almost every week. And they go into Aberdeen Central's home and tie them 2-2. I don't think very many teams right now are taking Watertown for granted as a win, because that just is not happening. I mean, they're just tough. They're tough to play wherever they are, and they're determined. And you're going to see here in a minute where we have. They're right now they're sitting at that number 8 seed. Wow. They don't have the greatest week, to play the rest of their season out on with Roosevelt and Lincoln. But the bottom line is, in talking with the players and the coaches from these teams, it's they are concerned about playing Watertown, and it's not going to impact Roosevelt or Lincoln in terms of being in or out, but it could impact travel. So, Watertown has a lot to play for right now, and I guess we'll see how that shakes out. As we move down the list, we were at another really interesting game Tuesday night between Sioux Falls, Washington, and Sioux Falls, O'Gorman, and it just was Sioux Falls, Washington's night. They did just about everything right, and ended up beating O'Gorman 2-0, and I would say that was probably a very just ending. O'Gorman came at him quite a few times, but Washington's keeper had a great game, and they scored the goals, and that's how it ended up. Moving on down the line, Watertown took on Brandon Valley at home and won there, so they had a tie and a win on the week in AA. One of the big games of the week that I've been interested in for a long time, since actually even before the season started, was the Thursday night game between Sioux Falls Roosevelt and Sioux Falls Lincoln. They they were both tied at number 1, the same exact amount of seeding points. Even though Lincoln got in quite a few times, Roosevelt's keeper did a tremendous job. He made 4 or 5 big saves. Sioux Falls Roosevelt was the team that scored the goals, and neither was a huge spectacular goal. They were just both back post goals, but very very nice shooting and very good finishing on Roosevelt's part. So they end up winning 2-0. They take that number 1 seed spot, and they did much of the game look like the better team, but Lincoln did send especially. From the middle of the second half on, they sent a lot of players forward and put a lot of pressure on Roosevelt. I was kind of surprised that Roosevelt didn't counter a little bit more and make Lincoln pay for getting those guys out of the back. But that's how it ended up. So, we move on then to Friday night, and Aberdeen Central rolled into Sioux Falls O'Gorman. And if you look on our site, we have the numbers transposed, but Aberdeen Central ended up beating O'Gorman 2-1. O'Gorman scored first in that game. Aberdeen Central scored 2 goals on set pieces, and they beat.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, well, you guys, Brad, were victimized, by set pieces. Yeah.
Yep.
And Rapid City Stevens did. So I don't know how long teams are going to keep ignoring the set pieces there, but as long as they do, they're going to keep getting punished. Moving on down the line then, the Aberdeen Central took their show into Yankton. where it's tough for everybody to win. I mean, Roosevelt was in there last week and lost. A lot of teams have lost on that Yankton field, and Aberdeen ended up losing and Yankton winning 2-0 there over Aberdeen Central. So that was a big game. In yesterday's action, we saw O'Gorman and Sioux Falls Christian play. That was ended up as a 0-0 tie. They played on Sioux Falls Christian's field, and everybody who's played Sioux Falls Christian, whether they're AA or A, know what a dangerous team Sioux Falls Christian are this year. Right? They've had some real good teams in the past, but this one just seems to be a little extra special. Finally, I want to get down to your game, Coach Cruz. Pierre rolls into Harrisburg. Both teams really needing a win to get that breath of fresh air and get in that top 8. Your guys, stepped in there, really did a whale of a job, and ended up coming out of Harrisburg 4-1, and did that in very convincing style. Tell us a little bit about, from your perspective there on the sideline, what the game looked like to you.
Well, first off, my guys played really, really well. I can't say enough about how they've been working. We got a wake-up call a week ago, and we just sat down and had some discussions about that, and we just got to put in the work. We got to focus for the full 80, and things that take care of themselves. And I just can't say enough. We had the guys just we were in. I felt we were in control the entire way. The wind was obviously a factor. We were going against the wind. The first, I don't know how hard was that wind, Randy. I mean, it was it was definitely affecting play. But we'd worked really hard on the quick short passes, keeping stuff on the floor, and that was one of our keys to success. I think we were able to move the ball around, and they never really got to that point. We kind of stopped them in the midfield, and we didn't really relent and give them many opportunities at all.
Well, they did eventually get a goal scored on you, but really didn't get dangerous too much on you. The bottom line really is that you guys just your guys just brought it, and you had that first goal. It's so funny watching teams try to play against Cody Keel when they just don't have respect. But Cody's one of these guys that when he's on the soccer field, or probably about any place else, he thinks different than the rest of us do. I mean, his problem-solving process is different, and that kind of a bouncy ball came through there. The Harrisburg defender thought, well, geez, I got this, and right. Cody comes in there and basically heads it off his foot, and it's off to the races. He knocks it over to Cole, and Cole finishes off. But watching those two, I watched quite a bit of the video today, and those two guys, Cody and Cole, have played together so much. They know exactly what the other guy's going to do before he even does it.
They really do. I mean, they've really played together since U8 days, quite frankly, and they do. They know where the other guy's going to be, and the kind of ball the other guy's going to play, and it really makes it advantageous to have those two guys. And you commented on Cody's work ethic, and I have a half a dozen of those guys that'll run the field until they just can't do it anymore. So, when you got a guy that becomes unselfish and will send that ball across the middle, and instead of trying, to do something else with it, it just becomes that much more dangerous when you got three guys bearing down on it from different angles. One of those guys is going to come up with a hit on it. So,
well, we talked to you a few days before the season started. We came to Pierre to see you and your guys, and I remember you saying we've got a little bit different looking team this year. We probably are going to allow a few more goals than we have in the past, but we got a bunch of guys who we're going to be playing attacking soccer with, and that is exactly what you did. I was talking to Cole after the game, and they said, I don't know how fun that would be to just bang balls to Cody, because I mean, you could bang balls to him for 300 minutes, and he's going to chase everyone out.
Yeah, yep. You gotta be on your toes because, like you said, I mean, there's been many a defender that thinks, well, that striker's not gonna chase this one down because it's so far out there, and all of a sudden Cody ends up in their back pocket and reaching around and getting a touch on the ball, and all of a sudden he has control of it. I mean, that happens time and time again. So, but the guys, it's paying dividends for him because Cody's making some great passes. I mean, Cody had 4 assists over the weekend in T and in Harrisburg. So it's paying dividends for the team, and that's kind of where we are at right now. We're wanting to move into the playoffs, and we have to do what's best for 11 guys, the 14 guys, the 18 guys sitting there on the bench. So,
well, and that's the big thing about Cody in this last year. He's Cody is a very, very young senior. I think what is he only 16 still, or he might be 17, but
just turned 17, I believe. Yep.
Yeah, he's just such a young senior, and but you can see just in the last year his maturity level coming up, and he is much more inclined today. I mean, if he has a shot to finish it, he's going to go ahead and score, but he's looking for his teammates. And, the most remarkable thing there is how you get guys to make that trip with him every time, because, he's a hard guy to keep up with. And usually he's so far ahead of everybody else that, a lot of guys would look at that and say, well, I'm not going to run all the way up there. But you've got guys who do every time.
We do. Caden Height on an outside, Marcus Lucky, Cole Cruz in the middle, and then guys following up, Derek Leiferman and Alan Garcia. I mean, those are all guys that can put their foot on the ball and finish, and so, we've talked about it time and time again. You just got to put in the work for your teammates, and everything's going to take care of itself, whether it's going to the right spot so your teammate has an easy pass to make, or going to the right spot so you can be on the other end of receiving a pass where you can get a shot. So our attacking guys they're all work. Their work ethic is good, and it's paying. Like I said, it's we had the blip in those 2 games, and that was a focus problem we felt, and I think we have that solved, and we feel pretty good about where we're at moving in late to the season here.
Speaking a little bit earlier about Derek Leiferman, I keep telling people, sometimes when you show up at a place and you got a video camera, you're at the right place at the right time. And I'm so glad that we were there yesterday to record Derek's hat trick, because he had 2 free kicks, one from about 40 meters and one from about 38 meters. They couldn't have been more perfect. I don't know how he did it with that massive wind, because there was a lot of wind coming from the side.
It was swirling around in the stadium there. And I don't think you could have placed it. If you would have been standing in front of the goal at the 6 and thrown it where you wanted it to go, I don't think you could have placed it better. They were right on the top bar, where the goalie couldn't handle them, and they were just really perfect. And then, his last deal, that was just more of a will thing than anything else. He wanted that third one, and he got in there, and as time was running out, he dribbled her right down and beat that goalie on that right side. So,
well, last year you had him pretty much as one of the outside backs, and every once in a while we'd see him on the wing, but you moved him into kind of a messer position to play a defensive mid alongside Cole this year, and I think that has really worked out well for you. He has done such a tremendous job at anticipating other teams' attack, and he just steps up in there time after time after time and breaks things up for you.
He does, and he's such a strong kid. leg strength and low center of gravity. He's just it's hard to win a 50-50 ball away from him, and he sees the field well and makes good passes. You know, the combination of him and Cole and Allen in the middle has really done good things for us. And you know, we've tried to settle down and control the ball at times, and we've struggled at times with that. But it's we have the guys now that I think their thinking starting to get right, and their mental state's starting to get right. So I look to be able to take games over, kind of like we did in Harrisburg, more often.
Well, you know, and a couple of things that really impressed me about that yesterday is that as the game wore on, as we got into the middle of the second half, or even not too far into the second half, that, you know, it got a little bit chippy out there. And, you know, and of course the ref was a ref that he you know, lets these guys play. And so, you know, certainly not complaining about that. I like to see a good, tough, hard game. But the bottom line was that your guys had an opportunity to really get on the fight and get feisty. They're on the road, but they kept settled down. They used their heads, and they finished the thing off, just like you would expect a seasoned team to do.
And you know, when we talked about that before game, because we knew who was going to be in the center, and we knew that the fouls were going to be hard before they got called. So, you know, I just told him, you get knocked down, and it's not a call. You don't have anything to say. Just get up and get back and play soccer. And I was very proud of the way that all the boys did that, because there were some bodies on the ground on occasion.
Well, and that's one thing about your guys, though. I mean, it's just like a lot of these teams. You can take it and you can dish it out, and you know, anymore, especially at the high school level, you know, teams have to play to the extent the ref wants them to play. And so your guys, it looks to me, have that ability to play possession soccer and not get into a bashing contest. But if the game goes there, they're perfectly willing to defend themselves and even take the initiative if they need to.
Yep, and that, you know, again, something else we worked on and talked about is if we pass the ball well enough, they can't catch us to knock us down. So if we have them spinning in circles, that's what we prefer. But definitely, I have a group of guys that aren't going to get knocked off the ball easily, and you know, they do what it takes, and we've been doing a good job of. You know, we'll talk about the calls on the field, my captains will, but most everybody will back off and just go into their position if the foul doesn't go our way.
Well, you know, Brad, and you've known me, and we've known each other and been friends for many years now, and you know how much I like watching young players who are really accepting the challenge. I mean, you've got one there, Marcus Lucky, who, I mean, that kid is like the Energizer Bunny, and you know, he took a couple good whacks yesterday and just got up and played. You know, he just tough. But I know you've got some other young guys, some freshmen and even some eighth graders who have really caught your eye there up here. And maybe you could kind of fill us in on what you have coming up in the future.
Yeah, you know, our JV squad's really young, but you know, I don't know if you were there for introductions yesterday, but you know, I have two seniors on my squad is all, and all my starters are juniors and sophomores, and so for JV that leaves me freshman and down. So we do have some guys that are coming up. You know, we got a couple defensive guys that have really grown up a lot this year, and Evan Rumrill. And have a eighth grader Falcon that is maturing a lot, and he's doing well. There's a lot of other guys that are doing a good job for us. Our goalkeeper Joey Fisher is doing a good job in between the posts and running that defense back there. So it's going to be fun to watch the guys develop in the future. And the guys were young, but that JV squad hung with a lot of teams that were a lot older than they were and a lot more physical. But again, I think they excelled in the passing game and doing that movement, and they've had a little bit of difficulty getting on the attack. They don't have that overpowering athletic player up front yet, but that's developing. So.
Well, they're going to have plenty of time, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, but I, actually started my soccer coaching career in Pierre. And
yeah.
one of the things that I've always really admired about Pierre players in general is number one, they got a lot of respect for the coach. They do what they're asked to do, and number two, there's no place anywhere where the kids try as hard as those Pierre kids try. And I mean, you just saw that throughout the whole contest yesterday, not only on the boys' side, but when I was at the girls' game as well.
Yeah, Pierre being one of the smaller AA schools anymore, really, it kind of gives us a little extra motivation. And, you roll into a place like Harrisburg that has arguably the most beautiful stadium in the state. Boy, it's a fantastic facility. The kids want to, prove that they can hang with some of the bigger school districts around, and so I think that's where some of that work ethic comes from. But we've grown up working hard here in soccer, and that probably started way back when you were coaching youth. I don't know, but it's something that Pierre teams always have had is that work ethic and that never quit, and we always try to remain in the game somehow. So.
Well, let's have a little visit about what's going to happen this week, because there are still a couple teams, and I'm going to put up a graphic here, and I'm hoping that that you can see it and that everybody can.
Okay.
I'm going to try to get my screen share tool up here with Hangout.
If you have the math figured out, you're a magician, or you should be making rockets somewhere.
No, I do not have the math figured out, but I'm doing it the dumb old coach way. And basically, what we're looking at is a scenario where the top 8 are Roosevelt, Lincoln, Yankton in at 3rd, Aberdeen Central at 4th, Stevens at 5th, Spearfish at 6th, so they're probably feeling a little safer now. Pierre at 7th and Watertown at 8th. And then right below Watertown is O'Gorman. And, O'Gorman doesn't have near the tough finishing end of the season that Watertown has. And basically, who they're going to finish up with is not going to be nearly as challenging, because here we have Watertown finishing up with Roosevelt and with Lincoln. So yeah. O'Gorman may be joining you in the top 8, but then we have Harrisburg, who are finishing off with an A opponent, and then against Sioux Falls, Washington, who's sitting in there at number 11. And it looks to me like any of those teams, if Watertown doesn't do what they need to do against Roosevelt and Lincoln, any of those teams, depending on what happens, could be in there at that number 8 position. And I don't know what you're thinking about that, but talking with a couple of the Roosevelt players the other day, I was at your game there at Harrisburg. They're not taking Watertown for granted. They know they're a dangerous team, and they know that they want to go out with a win against them.
Yeah, no, you're spot on with where you're at. Watertown, it's unfortunate they have that tough schedule for them. Spearfish, I don't know. I don't know if they're safe yet or not. They have to play Stevens yet, and then they finish with an A school that hasn't got very many wins. So I mean, they could drop out of that top 8 yet, because with O'Gorman, uh, I think O'Gorman's probably going to get in, and then I think probably the winner of Harrisburg Washington probably gets in. But uh, you know, again, there's still a lot of numbers that could change up there that changes the formula. But that's kind of what I was looking at when I tried to throw some numbers at it.
It seems astounding to me that Spearfish could be sitting there with such a wonderful record, but
Yeah.
because of the PowerPoint issue, I was talking to a coach the other day, and he literally said, "Well, I wonder, where they were when we were scheduling all these games, because
Yeah.
they have the fewest, I think, the fewest AA opponents of any AA school in the state, and so I guess if you feel good about winning games, that's fine, but they have Spearfish have a great team, and I think they deserve that bunch of guys deserve to go see some more of these stronger teams, because I think they could compete very well there. But
Yeah, I mean they could potentially finish with 10 wins and not get in. Um, if they beat Stevens, I think they'll have a pretty good shot at getting in. But if they drop that Stevens game, the most points they can get out of their last win is 39, and that could drop them out of contention.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting to see, how that finishes off. So let's move on down the list then, and the team that you beat Saturday, they have Sioux Falls, Washington rolling in, and Washington is still in the mix, and Harrisburg is going to be hosting them. It's you haven't played Washington this year, have you?
No, we haven't.
So I've looked at Washington a couple times. On one hand, they can be an incredibly good team, and if they're not connecting and not playing right, they don't look like a top 8 team. But Harrisburg, I think, will have everything to play for, and this is I think a Tuesday night game. Well, no, it's a Thursday night game. So Harrisburg and Sioux Falls, Washington are both going to have everything to play for. I think that's just going to be a fantastic game to watch.
Yeah, I really expected Washington to be one of the top teams in the state, and I don't know where their struggles. You've obviously seen them. I haven't even seen them, but they've struggled at times. But it seems like they're playing a little better, more consistent now than they were. It could have been a personnel issue or whatever. I don't know, but Harrisburg. I think they'll rebound. They have some good, athletic, dangerous, fast kids as well. I mean, but that ought to be a heck of a game, because I think it's going to make or break who gets in and who gets left out.
Yeah, it's going to have a huge bearing. And speaking of the kind of players they've got there, they've got a freshman phenom there, Tarek Noor, who you know very well, and I do too, and he's good friends and actually club mates with some of your players in your team. And I mean, those guys didn't give him one breath of fresh air yesterday.
Yeah, obviously we knew who Tarek was, and we knew he would be their route to get into the goal, and we kind of got him frustrated up top, and then they moved him in the infield, and he just kind of ran into Derek and Allen in the middle, and we were able to just shut him down on the midfield, and he'd just have to pass off to the side, and he wasn't getting any opportunities to get the ball back. So that was good for us, because Tarek, he can finish from distance, or he can dribble by guys too. But we were able to neutralize that a little bit.
Well, and then moving on to Friday night, you have Yankton coming into town, and and your team have 2 games left. You've got Yankton Friday, and you've got Huron Saturday. We would,
Yep.
all expect you to win that Huron game. Um, but from what I understand, they have a good team, a lot of good players. So they've surprised a few teams, and then you have Yankton coming in Friday night, and they're going to be going as hard as they can because they're fighting to get in that top 8 themselves.
The Yankton games have always been strong fought battles. I think we went down there last year. It was our last game of the season, and I think we played them to 0-0 tie, and then we turned around and played them first round of the playoffs, and I think it ended up being a 1-0 game. And I expect it to be that same kind of thing. I mean, it's not. I don't think either team will run away with this win at all, and they have a great defense down there from what I can tell, and have talked to some people, and they have a kid that's scoring some goals, it sounds like now. So that's going to be an interesting game. It should be a great match, and we know some of those guys down there as well, and we're looking forward to that one.
One thing I've always appreciated about teams that Warren Brenner coaches is that it doesn't matter who his personnel are or how many seniors or sophomores he has. Every time his team steps on the field, they are organized and they are fit. And so we're gonna try to be in Pierre Friday night to bring that match to everybody, because we think that obviously is an extremely important match for Yankton, and it could be for your team as well.
Yeah, with a win, Yankton definitely secures himself in the top 4 for the home game, and I don't know if a loss would drop them out of the top 4 or not, but it would definitely secure our spot in the playoffs, a win against them. So that's what we're looking for, and so there's a lot riding on that one. And then like you had mentioned Huron and turning around and playing them on Saturday, that's some of the teams we talked about being Spearfish and Watertown both found themselves tied by Huron, right? So
yeah,
that it's not just something you stroll in and stroll out with a W. So they have some players over there.
And you have to play them on their home turf too. So and this their last game, they're going to be playing for respect, and I think it could be a dangerous game for your guys. But the bottom line is, I think you'll have them ready psychologically to handle that.
Well, yeah, that's the big thing. Playing those back-to-back games is, we're going to be a little bit tired and after a hard-fought match on Friday, but you just have to dig down deep and do the work you need to do, and if you need to come off the field for a minute to get your wits about you, come off and get back out there when you're ready. So that's kind of how we play in Pierre. So.
Well, and we got a couple, and you mentioned it a little bit earlier about the Rapid City Stevens and Spearfish match. Spearfish, if they lose to Rapid City Stevens, that really, that's a big hindrance to them. But the reality is, the way Spearfish have been playing, it's another chance for them to go against a real AA powerhouse in Stevens. Traveling into Sioux Park is not going to be easy for them, but they have a realistic shot against Stevens, I believe, because they have a good team. And then finally, we're talking about the last game scheduled of the season, and that's Sioux Falls Lincoln at Watertown. And those games really, I think, are both interesting games.
They are. That Watertown team, we talked about them a little bit, but they just have so much speed in Watertown. I don't know what they do up there, what they put in the water, but I mean, you can see it in track season, and you see it on the football field. You definitely see it on the soccer field. They are full of really fast players, and it caused us some problems defensively, obviously, but that should be a pretty good matchup. Lincoln walked
Well,
in.
there's no doubt about that. Well, Coach Cruz, I think we have Derry on the line with us finally with a good picture and with some audio. So I'm going to hop on here with him. You're
Okay.
more than welcome to stay till the end of the show and add whatever comments you might like, or if you got to get out there and cook some steaks for your family tonight, well, please go do that. But it really has been wonderful having you on the show. Really appreciate your insight and appreciate what you're doing there with your team. You have a respectable team there, and so much of that is because of what you've been doing there in Pierre with all those kids.
Well, thanks, Randy. And again, I don't think we can all thank you guys enough for getting out there and covering these matches for these kids and doing the online interviews. And it's just great to get all that coverage out there for the sport and those kids that are playing it. So can't thank you enough for doing all that.
Well, we appreciate hearing that. Well, thanks again, Coach Cruz, and we sure look forward to seeing you. Hopefully, we'll be in Pierre Friday night to watch you take on Yankton.
All right, we'll see you then.
Thanks. Well, we have, I believe, Coach Chris Derry with us. And maybe we do, maybe we don't. Chris, are you on? Well, I'm not. I'm not hearing him very well. So, folks, we're gonna just pop off here, pop onto the A boys, and really, I think A is very much settled. We've got Sioux Falls and Christian and Groton area sitting kind of at the top of the deal, but James Valley Christian is right in there with them, and here's kind of what it boils down to: the top two seeds, which are Sioux Falls Christian and Groton area right now, get a first round bye, and if the whole bracket went off as it is right now, St. Thomas More would travel to James Valley Christian for their first playoff game a week from this Tuesday, and then Hot Springs would travel to T area for their game to finish it off. The big issue here is that James Valley Christian has been playing great soccer. They are going to finish off their season at Groton area, and so there's still kind of a question on those top two teams there, even though Groton area has been very solid, and we all know that Groton area is that's a tough place to go play. I don't know anybody who has enjoyed going there and playing. I know that's including you, Brad.
Yeah, they're physical and fast up there, and it wasn't enjoyable to go up there. They were tough, and I don't know how the rest of the A. I know obviously Sioux Falls Christian has a great team, and I haven't seen James Valley play or anything, but if they can hang with Groton, I'll give them props, because Groton was strong and tough.
Well, and here's the amazing thing about James Valley Christian. I saw them against Sioux Falls Christian, and Sioux Falls Christian have a big, strong, mature team, and they're very well coached by Coach Valgersdijk, who hopefully we'll have on the show next Sunday. But Jory Whiff he's been there at James Valley Christian for year after year after year, and he just keeps filling the pipeline with all of these clever young players. And this year they have a pretty young team, but there's a lot of the game that they really hung with Sioux Falls Christian and actually gave them some trouble at certain points in the game. So I really gained a tremendous amount of respect for what they're doing there, because it was even though Sioux Falls Christian ended up winning fairly handily, not big, but they were in control of the game. But those James Valley Christian players never gave up for one moment in the match. I mean, they fought till the last whistle.
And if you have a team that will do that for you, I mean, nobody can count you out, no matter who you're going up against. If you got a team that won't quit, then that's a large part of the battle.
Absolutely. And so, in A, we have a couple more interesting games this week. Hot Springs on Monday will host Belfouche, and both those teams are, um, you know, and like I said earlier, the thing looks like it could be settled, but a couple wins, couple losses, one way or the other, could really have an impact. We're looking at St. Thomas More also traveling into Hot Springs, and then of course Groton area finishing up at home against James Valley Christian. And then their final game, they travel to T area, and I think you playing at T area the other night, you probably saw, like I did, a real young team, but with a tremendous amount of heart.
They do. They didn't quit either, and they have a kid in the middle that gets fairly dangerous. He can take some shots from distance, and the real tough, actually tough defenders, and they played pretty organized. We broke them down, and they actually had an injury. They took one of their middle guys out, but yeah, they show lots of heart out there, and I think there'll be something to deal with in the future.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Paul Bennett, if they can keep him there, they got, kids who are playing in Dakota Alliance. They got that Tempo Soccer Club really kicking things off around T, and so I think the long-term prognosis there is going to be very good. Well, Coach Brad Cruz, again, thanks a lot for being with us on tonight's wrap-up show. It was just great having you on, and we loved having your perspective. We're really impressed with what you're doing there with your team, and so hopefully we'll be able to see you Friday night in Pier against your foe, Yankton, and we'll certainly looking forward to what your guys do once they get in that Final Eight, because like I've been telling everybody the last week or so, I have the absolute formula for winning state, and that is get in the Final Eight, have 3 good games, then hoist the cup.
That's right, and that's just it. Anything can happen, and the new format this year, where it's more like a football playoff, not tournament style. So I think that adds a little different flavor, because you're looking at one game, and then you have some days off. So it will probably allow you to prepare a little bit more for one team, and push a little harder, maybe even than you can in a tournament style setting. So it'll be a different experience for everybody, but you're right. The first step's making the Final Eight, and that's what we set out to do. And then you just got to see how the matchups happen.
Well, thanks again, Brad, and please give my best regards to the only person who loves videotaping soccer games as much as I do, your wife, Tammy. We I guess I don't know who tapes more soccer than the other one, but Tammy is always there with the camera and has done a tremendous amount of good for the guys in your team. I don't know if they recognize that or not, but boy, I sure do.
I get invaluable information from the stats I pull from those things, and it helps as we coach throughout the season, and we can clean some things up from what we pick up on the tape. So it is very, very valuable to our team, and she has become a pretty good videographer. So you may want to hire her away from me someday.
Well, I know one thing for sure: she'll give me a run for my money any day. So, well, thanks again, Brad, and really, folks, I want to thank our main site sponsors, Home Federal Bank, who have really done a tremendous job stepping up and helping us bring more soccer and better soccer to you. We got a new sponsor recently, Horner Barrow Orthodontics, who have really stepped in there and like what we're doing with soccer. So if you get an opportunity, please give those folks a thank you for helping us bring soccer to you. And then finally, one of our main advertisers, the South Dakota National Guard. I don't know if you've been to their site or clicked on their on their tab on our site, but they got a great internal page in our website that has a tremendous amount of information on it. You can go download a really cool app, so go check it out. And of course, not just those three, but everybody who stepped up and helped us pay the bills here to help bring soccer to you, because we love what we're doing, and we love other people who want to jump in. So, Coach Cruz, thanks again, and we'll be seeing you on the soccer field somewhere soon, and especially all you folks watching. Thanks for watching Soccer 605, and we'll see you right back here next Sunday, same time, same place. Have a great and safe week, everybody.